What if I told you that fear, that heavy weight you've carried for so long, might actually be the doorway to your greatest strength? Have you ever wondered why some people seem unshakable in the face of challenges, while others crumble at the first sign of difficulty? The truth is, courage is not born from the absence of fear. It is born from walking straight through it. Each moment you face what terrifies you, each time you take a step into discomfort instead of running away, you're not just surviving, you're building unshakable inner power. Has this ever happened to you? That moment when your heart is racing, your hands are shaking, yet after it's over, you realize you're stronger than you thought? What you're about to discover might surprise you. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. Now think about the way you've been prioritizing your relationships. How often have you made someone else the center of your world, only to realize you were just an option in theirs? It hurts, doesn't it? Yet, this is one of the most important lessons life gives us. Never allow yourself to be treated as anything less than a priority. When you place your worth in someone else's hands, you risk being overlooked, undervalued, or even abandoned. And when that happens, it's not just your trust that breaks, it's your sense of self. Stay with me until the end, because as we go deeper, you'll see why valuing yourself first is the foundation for all true connections. Fear and misplaced loyalty are two of the most common forces that silently shape our lives. Fear convinces us to stay small, to remain in the shadows, and to avoid taking risks. And misplaced loyalty? It ties us to people and situations that don't deserve our energy, keeping us trapped in cycles of disappointment. But here's the paradox. Fear, when confronted, transforms into courage. And loyalty, when redirected toward yourself, becomes the fuel for growth and independence. Imagine for a moment how different your life could be if you started seeing fear not as an enemy, but as a teacher. Imagine what would change if you stopped chasing validation from those who never truly valued you. The shift doesn't happen overnight, but every time you step into what scares you, you rewrite your story. Every time you choose yourself over someone who would never do the same for you, you reclaim your power. And maybe that's why life gives us these lessons so persistently, because until we learn to walk through fear and place ourselves first, we'll never discover the courage and worth that have been within us all along. As we move forward, keep this in mind. The journey to becoming fearless doesn't mean eliminating fear. It means learning to use fear as a stepping stone, not a wall. And understanding your worth doesn't mean shutting people out. It means drawing clear boundaries, so only those who truly value you can stay. What you're about to hear next will take this idea even deeper, and it might just change the way you see yourself and the world around you forever. Shall I continue with the next section of the script based on the following points in the transcript, keeping the same narrative style and flow? If this resonates with you, make sure you're subscribed so you can keep receiving more insights like this along the way. Every choice you make, no matter how small, carries within it the weight of possibility. Think about it. When you hesitate, when you refuse to step forward, you've already chosen defeat before the battle even begins. Life doesn't wait for us to feel ready, and those who linger in hesitation discover too late that opportunities are fragile. To try and stumble is still a form of victory, because it means you dared. You tested the unknown. You opened the door to transformation. The hidden truth is that most of what we call failure is not really an ending. It's simply the beginning of a different path. Behind the scenes of every success story is someone who decided that trying, even imperfectly, was better than sitting on the sidelines waiting for the perfect moment. And that's where courage takes shape. True courage is not a grand gesture seen by the world, but the quiet, persistent decision to act when it would be easier to retreat. Each time you lean into action rather than avoidance, your confidence grows not as an abstract idea, but as lived experience. Confidence is not something gifted from outside. It's built brick by brick through the things you choose to do. It's in that phone call you finally make, the conversation you no longer postpone, the step you take toward a dream that once seemed distant. These are the small revolutions that shape the course of your journey. The impact is invisible at first, but over time, you begin to notice the shift in your mindset. You stand taller, speak with more clarity, and carry yourself with an energy that tells the world you know your own worth. Yet often it is pain, not comfort, that sharpens this vision. A broken heart feels like devastation, but hidden inside it is revelation. Disappointment rearranges our priorities in ways comfort never could. The truth is, the moments that break us open are often the same ones that reveal who we truly are. When something precious falls apart, the fragments reflect a clearer image of our own resilience. The experience hurts, yes, but it also strips away illusions. Pain teaches you which voices are genuine and which are not, what is worth fighting for, and what must finally be released. It's almost as if life uses heartbreak as a lens, adjusting your focus so that you can finally see what has been in front of you all along. Think of the times when you felt most lost, and notice how often those moments led you to revelations that shaped your path. Growth rarely announces itself with fanfare. Instead, it comes quietly in the aftermath of difficulty, in the stillness that follows chaos, in the small decision to keep moving forward when everything in you wanted to stop. That's the paradox of struggle. It feels like an ending, but it's often the seed of your next beginning. The choices you make during these times, whether to close off or to stay open, whether to retreat or to step into the unknown, are the real defining moments of your life. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because the connection between courage, meaningful action, and the clarity born from pain holds the key to transformation in ways we often overlook. When you start to see that the trials you face are not punishments, but pathways, the entire landscape of your journey begins to change. Write in the comments, "This makes sense to me," if you've ever felt that pain, courage, and clarity were all part of the same hidden lesson. There is a hidden truth we often resist. The unknown is not our enemy, but our greatest teacher. The unfamiliar, the uncomfortable, the moments that make us hesitate, these are the very doors that lead to transformation. Yet most of us are conditioned to avoid them, to cling to what feels safe, to remain inside the walls of what we already know. But what if those walls are the very thing keeping you from the life you're meant to live? Behind the scenes of every turning point lies a choice to step into uncertainty, to trust that discomfort carries within it the seeds of growth. Think about the opportunities that slipped away simply because they didn't look like what you expected. The irony is that the most defining experiences often arrive dressed as fear or doubt, asking only for the courage to walk forward anyway. And then there's the reality that everything you see today can change in an instant. A single decision, an unexpected event, one phone call, and suddenly the world you knew yesterday no longer exists. This fragility of life isn't meant to paralyze you, it's meant to wake you up. It's a reminder that what you hold in your hands now is not guaranteed tomorrow. Gratitude, then, becomes a kind of anchor in the storm. When you learn to appreciate the present, when you stop waiting for some distant moment to begin truly living, you unlock a mindset that changes the way you experience everything. Life's impact doesn't always come from monumental events. Sometimes it's the quiet awareness that the people, places, and experiences around you are fleeting. That awareness shifts your decisions, softens your complaints, and transforms the way you treat what you have now. Yet even as life unfolds with its constant change, many of us surrender our freedom to the opinions of others. How often do you find yourself replaying someone's words, letting their judgments shape how you see yourself? It's almost as if their voices echo louder than your own. But here's the revelation. Those opinions only have power if you hand it to them. They cannot define you unless you allow them to. Every time you bend your identity to fit someone else's view, you betray the person you truly are. It's like giving away the pen that writes your story and letting someone else decide the ending. The truth is, most people's opinions are not even about you. They're a reflection of their own fears, limitations, and unspoken battles. Recognizing this is liberating. It frees you from the prison of seeking approval and redirects your focus toward the journey of becoming who you already know you can be. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic because the courage to embrace the unknown, the wisdom to value the present, and the strength to silence destructive opinions are not separate lessons. They are part of the same continuous path. They work together like threads in the fabric of transformation, each one weaving resilience, clarity, and independence into your life. When you finally accept that growth is supposed to feel uncomfortable, when you grasp that every moment could be your turning point, and when you realize that your worth cannot be measured by anyone else, you begin to walk differently. You stop waiting, you stop apologizing, and you start living in alignment with the truth you've been searching for all along. Put down in the comments, "I'm also on this path," if you've ever felt the shift that comes from choosing courage, presence, and self-definition over fear, distraction, and doubt. When you pay attention to the way people treat you, you begin to uncover a hidden truth. Their actions often mirror the relationship you have with yourself. If you carry yourself with self-doubt, you'll notice how quickly others sense it and reflect it back. If you consistently put your needs last, others will learn to do the same. But when you embody self-respect, when your decisions show that you value your own time and energy, something shifts. People respond differently. They see in you what you've chosen to see in yourself. It's not magic, it's mindset. The signals you send, often without words, shape the way others experience you. Behind the scenes of every human interaction is this silent contract. How you allow yourself to be treated becomes the standard. And this is why boundaries are not just important, they are essential. Kindness is powerful, yes, but without limits, it turns into a weakness that others exploit. Think of your energy like a reservoir. If you let anyone take from it without discretion, one day, you'll look around and realize it has run dry. Boundaries are not walls to keep love out. They are gates that decide who has earned the right to enter. Saying no is not cruelty. It is clarity. It protects the space where your growth, your creativity, and your peace of mind can thrive. Without them, you risk being pulled into battles that were never yours to fight, or carrying burdens that were never meant for your shoulders. The irony is that once you learn to set clear limits, even the people who resist them will secretly respect you more. Because deep down, everyone recognizes strength when they see it. But boundaries alone are not enough. To move forward, you must also confront the versions of yourself that no longer serve you. The old identities, the outdated beliefs, the patterns of behavior that once kept you safe, but now keep you stuck. These must be released. It's almost like carrying a suitcase filled with things you no longer wear. Heavy, outdated, and unnecessary, yet still, you drag it with you everywhere. Transformation requires letting go, not just of others, but of yourself. Destroying the old you is not an act of violence. It's an act of renewal. It's choosing to shed the layers of fear, doubt, and habit so that the person you are becoming can finally breathe. This is one of life's greatest revelations. You cannot step into the future while clinging to the comfort of the past. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because when you start aligning how you treat yourself with the boundaries you set and the versions of yourself you allow to exist, you begin to see the real impact of your decisions. You realize that self-respect is not built overnight. It is cultivated through 1,000 small choices. Each time you say yes to yourself, each time you protect your energy, each time you release an identity that no longer fits, you are quietly rewriting your story. And as your story changes, the world around you responds. People begin to treat you differently. Opportunities that once passed you by now find their way to your door, and the journey ahead begins to unfold with a clarity you never thought possible. Write in the comments, "This makes sense to me," if you've ever noticed how the way you treat yourself sets the tone for everything and everyone in your life. Life constantly reminds us that everything has a price, and that price is rarely visible on the surface. The hidden truth is that every choice you make carries a trade-off. 2. Say yes to one path is to say no to another. To invest time, energy, or love in something meaningful is to accept that something else must be left behind. You cannot have it all, not because life is cruel, but because it demands focus. And this is where transformation begins, in recognizing that sacrifice is not loss, but strategy. Behind the scenes of success, of growth, of inner peace, there are countless decisions where someone chose discipline over distraction, patience over instant gratification, clarity over chaos. This mindset shift changes everything. Once you stop clinging to the illusion that you can keep every option open, you gain the freedom to give yourself fully to what truly matters. But the most profound decisions are not only about what you pursue, they are also about what you release. Holding on to anger, resentment, or the need for revenge may feel powerful in the moment, but it corrodes your spirit. Forgiveness is not about excusing someone else's behavior. It's about reclaiming your energy from the grip of the past. The weak seek revenge because they believe it restores balance. The strong forgive because they understand that peace is more valuable than payback. And the wise? They simply move on because they've learned that not every wound deserves a response, and not every battle deserves to be fought. Forgiveness, in this way, becomes a hidden tool of power. It clears the mental space needed to focus on your own journey, to keep your eyes on your vision instead of looking back at what broke you. And this ties into a deeper revelation. Who you are is defined not by what you add, but by what you sacrifice. Strength is measured not only by endurance or persistence, but by the ability to let go of comfort, of old identities, of fleeting pleasures, in order to reach something greater. Think of the athlete who wakes before dawn, the artist who spends hours perfecting a craft, the dreamer who walks away from stability to follow a vision. Their sacrifices are not punishments, they are proof of their commitment. Sacrifice becomes the silent signature of every transformation. What you are willing to reject reveals the depth of your hunger for what you seek. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic because the connection between trade-offs, forgiveness, and sacrifice shows us a blueprint for a different kind of strength. It teaches us that life is not measured by how much we accumulate, but by how much we refine. Each decision to sacrifice short-term comfort for long-term impact is a step toward clarity. Each choice to forgive rather than retaliate frees you from chains you didn't realize you were carrying. Each rejection of what is shallow or temporary sharpens your focus on what is eternal. And slowly, without fanfare, you begin to see the transformation unfolding, not as a single dramatic moment, but as the quiet accumulation of choices that align with your highest self. Put down in the comments, I choose strength, if you felt the weight of sacrifice, the release of forgiveness, or the clarity that comes from embracing life's trade-offs. So much of life is shaped not by what happens to us, but by who we decide to be in the middle of it all. Every day, consciously or unconsciously, you are either defining yourself or letting the world do it for you. And when you allow others to shape your identity, you begin to live a version of life that isn't yours, it's theirs. Their expectations, their judgments, their fears. It's like wearing a mask that doesn't quite fit, heavy and suffocating, but still convincing enough for the outside world. Yet here's the hidden truth. Identity is not found, it's created. You choose who you are with every decision, every action, every response. And if you don't take ownership of that process, the noise around you will gladly decide for you. The journey of transformation begins when you finally say, "This is who I am," and mean it not for approval, not for applause, but because it feels true in your bones. But choosing who you are requires honesty, the kind of honesty that can sting. Growth is fueled not by denial, but by truth. And the more you accept about yourself, the strengths you celebrate, and the flaws you've tried to hide, the more you evolve. It's tempting to turn away from the parts of ourselves that feel uncomfortable, but every revelation we resist only delays our progress. Think of it as standing in front of a mirror that reflects not just your image, but your inner world. Some days you love what you see, other days it feels unbearable. Yet the courage to face that reflection, to admit what's real instead of clinging to illusions, is what creates the breakthrough. Behind the scenes of every transformation story lies someone who stopped lying to themselves. The moment you accept the full truth of who you are, you unlock the ability to become more than who you've been. And still, many of us waste this opportunity by hiding behind excuses. I don't have time. I'm not ready. I'll start tomorrow. These are the soft whispers of resistance, the kind that convince you to stay still while life moves forward without you. But the reality is simple. Time is always there. What's missing is not hours in the day, but the decision to use them. Excuses create the illusion of safety, but they rob you of the chance to see what you're capable of. Every excuse is a wall built between you and your potential, and those walls grow higher the longer you wait. Yet the moment you stop defending your limitations, the walls begin to crumble. You realize that progress isn't about waiting for the right conditions. It's about moving with what you have, where you are right now. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because when you learn to define yourself instead of being defined, when you face your truth instead of denying it, and when you stop leaning on excuses to justify staying the same, you discover a freedom most people never touch. You begin to live with intention, to act with clarity, to create impact not because you're chasing approval, but because you're aligned with your own journey. And in that alignment, you find the power to change not only how you see yourself, but how the world responds to you. Write in the comments, no more excuses, if you feel it's time to step beyond limitations and start living from the truth of who you really are. Not every battle deserves your energy, and not every argument deserves your voice. There's a hidden strength in silence that most people underestimate. We're taught that speaking up, defending ourselves, and proving our point is what makes us powerful, but often the opposite is true. Real power is knowing when to step back, when to let the noise pass without dragging you into it. Silence is not weakness, it's strategy. It's the ability to recognize that your energy is too valuable to be spent on convincing those who have already decided not to understand you. There is an impact in restraint, in choosing presence over reaction. And it changes not just the outcome of conflicts, but the mindset with which you carry yourself through them. And this wisdom extends to how you treat your past. There are pieces of your story that others may never be able to see with clarity. They weren't there. They didn't feel what you felt. They didn't face the hidden battles you endured. Yet many will still try to judge, interpret, or even weaponize your experiences against you. Guarding your past is not about shame. It's about ownership. Your history belongs to you, and its meaning is yours to decide. Behind the scenes of every journey, there are chapters too sacred or too complex to be explained. Protecting them is a form of self-respect. You don't owe anyone the full script of your life, and not every scar needs to be displayed for validation. By keeping what's personal in its rightful place, you preserve the strength those experiences gave you without handing that power to someone who cannot value it. This is where gratitude enters like a quiet revelation. Gratitude has the power to reshape the lens through which you see the world. The more you practice it, the more beauty reveals itself in places you once overlooked. It's not that life suddenly becomes easier. It's that your focus changes. When you wake up and notice the light pouring through your window, when you appreciate the small gestures of kindness, when you allow yourself to feel the weight of what you already have, instead of chasing endlessly after what you don't, your journey transforms. Gratitude multiplies beauty because it shifts your attention from lack to abundance, from what's missing to what's present. And in that shift, your decisions begin to align differently. You stop moving from desperation and start moving from a place of fullness. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic because silence, guarded strength, and gratitude are not isolated lessons. They are interconnected pieces of a larger transformation. Choosing silence teaches you control. Guarding your past gives you ownership, and gratitude opens your eyes to possibilities you might have ignored. Together, they form a mindset that allows you to walk through life with balance, dignity, and awareness. And perhaps that is the hidden truth most people miss. It's not just what you do that defines your journey, but also what you choose not to do, what you choose to protect, and what you choose to appreciate. Write in the comments, gratitude changes everything, if you've ever felt how perspective can turn ordinary moments into extraordinary revelations. How many times have you told yourself you'll start tomorrow, only to realize that tomorrow keeps moving further away? The hidden truth is that waiting has a cost. Every dream postponed, every step delayed, silently becomes a year, and then a decade. Behind the scenes of the lives we admire, there was always a moment when someone decided to stop waiting and start moving. They didn't have perfect conditions. They didn't have certainty. They simply had the courage to act. Action, even imperfect action, creates momentum, and momentum reshapes everything. When you step forward, doors appear that weren't visible before. People cross your path who would have remained strangers, and opportunities you thought impossible begin to take shape. The journey doesn't reward hesitation. It rewards decisions. Yet, acting now doesn't mean forcing everything to happen at once. There's a paradox here. While action brings movement, patience gives it direction. The right timing exists, and it's not about calendars or clocks. It's about readiness. Sometimes you plant a seed and spend weeks, months, even years seeing nothing above the surface. But beneath the soil, something is quietly taking root. That's how growth works. The lesson is not to confuse silence with absence. Life has a way of aligning the right circumstances. When you've prepared yourself internally, a mindset shift comes when you realize that your responsibility is to act. But your wisdom lies in trusting that not everything will unfold immediately. Patience is not passive. It's an active decision to stay the course, even when results aren't yet visible. But in both action and patience, there is one element that determines everything: your emotions. If you don't learn to guide them, they will guide you. And once they do, others can easily pull the yaw strings of your life. Mastery of emotions is not about suppressing them or pretending they don't exist. It's about understanding them deeply enough that they no longer dictate your choices. Think of emotions as powerful currents. If you fight them blindly, they drag you under. But if you learn to navigate them, they can carry you farther than you imagined. Anger, fear, excitement, doubt, they all have energy. And when you learn to channel that energy instead of being consumed by it, you unlock a different kind of strength. The impact of emotional mastery is visible in every area of life. In your relationships, where you stop reacting impulsively. In your decisions, where clarity replaces confusion. And in your journey, where storms no longer control your direction. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because the intersection of action, timing, and emotional mastery reveals a powerful truth about transformation. It shows that progress isn't a straight line, it's a rhythm. There are moments when you need to leap without hesitation, moments when you must endure with patience, and moments when you must stand firmly in control of yourself, no matter what surrounds you. When these elements work together, your life stops feeling like a series of accidents and starts feeling like a deliberate creation. You begin to recognize that even the challenges you face are not obstacles, but part of the unfolding design of your growth. Write in the comments, "I'm ready to act," if you feel that balance between taking action, trusting timing, and guiding your emotions resonates with your own path. One of the greatest hidden truths about decision-making is that clarity and timing matter more than urgency. Acting in anger, in fear, or in the heat of an unresolved emotion often feels powerful in the moment. But those decisions carry consequences that outlive the rush of the feeling itself. When your judgment is clouded, choices become reactions rather than strategies. And what might have been a temporary storm turns into a lasting impact. Behind the scenes of the worst regrets in life are moments where someone couldn't wait for stillness, where impatience or rage dictated a path that should never have been taken. Wisdom lives in restraint, in knowing that waiting for clarity is not weakness, but strength. By pausing, breathing, and giving space for emotion to settle, you allow truth to surface, and truth always offers better direction than impulse ever could. This is why adaptability becomes such a vital part of transformation. Life does not bend to our expectations, no matter how carefully we plan. The journey is filled with unexpected turns, sudden losses, and opportunities that come disguised as disruptions. Those who cling too tightly to rigid structures often break under the weight of change, while those who learn to bend, to shift, to flow with the current, discover resilience. Being fluid is not about surrendering your vision. It's about allowing multiple paths to exist toward it. The river doesn't stop when it meets a rock. It moves around it, reshaping the land as it goes. And this is the mindset that keeps you alive, growing, and evolving, even when everything around you seems uncertain. Rigidity gives the illusion of control, but adaptability gives you true strength because it allows you to transform with circumstances rather than be destroyed by them. And at the core of both patience and adaptability lies the power of focus. There is no greater force than a mind fully committed to a single purpose. Scattered energy creates scattered results, while focused energy can move mountains. When you channel your attention, your time, and your strength into one clear direction, doors begin to open, and distractions lose their power over you. Focus is what transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary results. It's what allows a vision to grow roots and take form in reality. Every great journey, every lasting impact was fueled by this principle. The discipline to direct energy toward one thing until it becomes unshakable. The challenge is that the world constantly pulls you in 1,000 directions, offering noise disguised as opportunities, temptations dressed as shortcuts, and distractions that feel urgent but lead nowhere. The hidden revelation is that power isn't about doing more. It's about doing what matters with unwavering consistency. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic because the balance between emotional clarity, adaptability, and focused energy is not just a philosophy. It's a way of living. It's how you protect yourself from decisions that could derail your journey, how you remain standing when the world shifts beneath your feet, and how you create a momentum so strong that nothing external can slow it down. When these elements align, you move from being at the mercy of circumstances to becoming the architect of your own path. And that shift changes not only how you see your challenges, but also how you define your strength in the face of them. Write in the comments, "Clarity gives me strength," if you've ever felt the difference between acting in impulse and acting with true direction. No one rises alone, no matter how much the myth of self-sufficiency tries to convince us otherwise. Behind the scenes of every story of transformation, there are alliances, mentors who offered guidance, friends who offered strength, partners who shared the burden. Isolation may feel safe, but it weakens you. Strength multiplies when it is connected, when two or more journeys intertwine to form something greater than what either could have built alone. Building alliances isn't about dependency, it's about resilience. The right people in your life amplify your vision, remind you of your power when you forget it, and anchor you when chaos threatens to sweep you away. And in return, you become that anchor for them. True strength, then, is never just personal. It is collective, woven together through trust and shared purpose. But trust requires discernment. Words can inspire, intentions can sound noble, yet neither guarantees truth. The hidden truth of character is not found in declarations, but in results. You don't need to look at what someone says they will do. Just look at what they consistently do. Actions are the real language of integrity, the undeniable evidence of commitment. This applies not only to others, but also to yourself. Think of how many promises you've made to yourself that dissolved under the weight of procrastination or fear. That gap between intention and action is where growth is lost. To bridge it, you must hold yourself to the same standard you hold the world. Results matter. Results are what shape your journey. Results are what reveal impact. And results are what allow you to look back and see how far you've truly come. And yet, life has a way of testing you when you least expect it. Chaos arrives uninvited, disrupting plans, scattering routines, and shaking your certainty. But this is where composure becomes a weapon. Anyone can remain steady when life is predictable. The true measure of discipline is how you respond when disorder surrounds you. Imagine a storm raging while you stand in the center, calm and grounded, making choices not from panic, but from clarity. That state of presence doesn't erase the chaos. it transforms how you move through it. Courage isn't about eliminating fear, and discipline isn't about eliminating confusion. Both are about holding steady in the middle of the storm, refusing to be reduced by circumstances, and remembering that calm is not passive, it's power. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because when you combine the strength of alliances, the honesty of judging by results, and the courage of facing chaos with composure, you begin to understand the true architecture of resilience. You realize that resilience is not built in comfort, but in connection. It's not proven in words, but in outcomes. And it's not tested when life is smooth, but when it is turbulent. This is the hidden design of growth. Every disruption, every challenge, every unexpected turn is shaping the person you are becoming. And once you see that, even chaos stops being an enemy and becomes part of the transformation. Write in the comments, "Resilience is my strength," if you believe that alliances, actions, and composure are what truly shape the journey. In the moments when uncertainty surrounds you and the path ahead feels obscured, what keeps you steady are your values. They are like beacons cutting through the fog, illuminating not just your steps, but also guiding the people around you. When others don't know where to turn, they look to those whose principles remain unshaken, whose integrity is visible not in words, but in the quiet consistency of action. Values act as anchors in the storm, ensuring that even as circumstances change, your direction does not. And when you live by them authentically, they don't just shape your own journey, they influence the journeys of those who walk beside you. This is the hidden truth about values. They are not private. They ripple outward, impacting everyone who witnesses them. Yet values alone are not enough if they are constantly overridden by impulse. Acting too quickly, without clarity or reflection, often feels decisive, but ends up costing more than it gives. Impulse carries the energy of fire, bright, immediate, and consuming, but it rarely builds anything lasting. Patience, on the other hand, is the discipline of waiting for the right alignment, of trusting the unfolding of events without forcing them into premature form. Behind the scenes of every transformation, patience has played a quiet but critical role. It is patience that allows growth to take root, ideas to mature, and strategies to reveal themselves fully. And far from slowing progress, patience accelerates it because it prevents the missteps that come from rushing blindly into decisions. The mindset shift here is profound. Patience is not the absence of action. It is the choice to act from clarity instead of compulsion. But even patience requires another dimension to influence others effectively, the art of perception. Human beings are drawn to symbols. Throughout history, greatness has often been communicated, not just through substance, but through spectacle. The way leaders carry themselves, the images they project, the rituals and gestures they use, all of these shape the loyalty they inspire. Respect is not demanded. It is cultivated through perception, through the sense that one is standing in the presence of someone larger than the moment. This doesn't mean faking who you are, but amplifying the truth of who you are in ways others can see and feel. It is the recognition that people believe what they can perceive, and perception becomes the bridge between your internal strength and the external influence you hold. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because when values, patience, and perception come together, they create a powerful architecture for impact. Values define your compass. Patience ensures you follow it without deviation. And perception projects your inner alignment outward in a way that others can rally behind. Together, they shape not only the path you walk, but the way others experience you walking it. And this is where transformation becomes contagious, when your private discipline becomes a public beacon, inspiring others to hold themselves to the same standard. It's in this interplay of conviction, timing, and presence that influence becomes unshakable, and your journey begins to leave a mark far beyond your own life. Write in the comments, "My values guide me," if you believe that clarity, patience, and presence are the foundation of true strength. There is a hidden truth about progress that most people overlook. Not every plan is meant to be shared. The instinct to announce your goals, to make your intentions visible, often feels like strength, but in reality, It exposes your strategy to unnecessary judgment, envy, or interference. Silence, in this sense, is not secrecy, it is protection. When you learn to hide your plans, you create a shield around your journey, allowing your ideas to mature without the pressure of outside eyes. Distraction becomes a tool. By letting the world believe you are moving in one direction while preparing in another, you protect what truly matters. Behind the scenes of every great achievement, there are layers of strategy invisible to the public, carefully guarded until the moment of revelation. And it is in this silence that true power grows. But even the strongest strategy cannot thrive without people. Valuing those around you is not simply an act of kindness. It is a recognition of the energy that fuels progress. When people feel seen, when their contributions are acknowledged, they rise beyond what they thought possible. Recognition transforms effort into devotion, and devotion becomes the foundation of trust. The impact of valuing others is profound. It creates loyalty, it fosters collaboration, and it builds an environment where collective strength outshines individual ambition. To dismiss the greatness in others is to limit your own growth, because no journey of transformation is traveled entirely alone. By elevating those around you, you elevate yourself, creating a cycle where everyone involved is capable of more than they could ever achieve in isolation. And yet, even when surrounded by support, it is crucial to remember that your path is uniquely yours. Comparison is one of the most deceptive traps of the human mindset. Looking at the pace of others, envying their progress, or doubting your worth because their chapter looks brighter than yours, this robs you of your own rhythm. Like the sun and the moon, everyone has their time to shine, and trying to force that timing only leads to frustration. Some breakthroughs come early, others later, but each arrives exactly when it is meant to. The revelation here is that your timing is not late, it is precise. The moment you stop measuring your worth against someone else's journey, you open yourself to the clarity of your own. And when your moment arrives, no amount of delay, resistance, or doubt can dim it. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because the intersection of silence, recognition, and timing reveals a profound structure of growth. Silence teaches you to protect what's still fragile. Recognition reminds you that greatness expands when shared. And timing shows you that life unfolds not on demand, but in alignment with readiness. Together, these truths form a mindset that carries you through uncertainty without losing sight of your path. They shift the focus from rushing and proving to building and becoming. And it is in that shift where transformation takes root quietly, steadily, and undeniably. Write in the comments, "I trust my timing," if you've ever felt the freedom of embracing your own path without comparison. Failure carries with it a weight that few are willing to embrace, yet it holds within it the raw material of wisdom. Good judgment is rarely born from ease. It is carved out of mistakes, disappointments, and the sharp edges of reality. Each failure is a revelation behind the scenes, stripping away illusions and showing us the hidden truth about our limits, our blind spots, and our resilience. The pain of getting it wrong often teaches more than the satisfaction of getting it right, because mistakes force reflection, and reflection fuels transformation. What feels like an ending in the moment often becomes the foundation for a stronger beginning later. When you allow yourself to learn instead of collapsing under regret, failure becomes not a scar but a blueprint, guiding your next decisions with clarity you couldn't have achieved otherwise. And yet, sometimes failure alone is not enough to provoke change. Human beings are creatures of comfort, clinging to what is familiar, even when it no longer serves us. This is why pain so often becomes the great disruptor, the force that pushes us where complacency never would. You remain the same until the discomfort of staying still grows heavier than the risk of moving forward. That is the paradox of transformation. It rarely arrives when life feels easy. Instead, it sneaks in during those restless nights, those moments of silent dissatisfaction, those days when the weight of stagnation feels unbearable. Pain becomes a signal, not of defeat, but of urgency. It is the universe's way of shaking you awake, urging you to rise, to shed what has grown too small, to step into the unknown where growth waits. Without pain, many journeys would never begin. With it, the decision to move becomes unavoidable. And when you finally take that step, you discover that the very obstacles you once feared are not barriers designed to punish you, but mountains built to reveal your strength. Life places these towering challenges in your path, not to break you, but to show you what you are capable of. Each mountain climbed rewrites your understanding of your own power. The view from the summit is not just about the landscape you see, it's about the person you became on the way up. Every slip, every detour, every moment of exhaustion was part of the journey that reshaped you. Obstacles are proof that you are moving, that you are daring, that you are reaching for something greater than comfort. And the deeper revelation is this: the mountain is not separate from your path. It is your path. Without it, the strength you now carry would never have been uncovered. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because failure, pain, and obstacles are not random hardships scattered along the journey. They are the architects of transformation. They refine your mindset, strip away what is unnecessary, and reveal the depth of your capacity. Each failure brings wisdom. Each moment of pain fuels urgency, and each mountain conquered engraves courage into your being. This is the hidden design of growth, often misunderstood as cruelty, but in truth, a process of becoming. And once you begin to see challenges through this lens, you stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What is this here to teach me?" That shift alone has the power to change everything. Write in the comments, "My struggles shape me," if you've ever felt how mistakes, pain, and obstacles have pushed you toward strength you didn't know you had. Your life has always been shaped less by circumstances and more by the thoughts you choose to nurture. Every decision, every action, every turn in your journey begins as a thought, and the ones you feed the most become the blueprint of your reality. The hidden truth is that your mind is not just a mirror reflecting what happens outside. It is an engine, quietly creating what unfolds ahead. If you're strongest, thoughts are rooted in fear, limitation, and doubt, your life inevitably bends in that direction. But if your focus is anchored in clarity, possibility, and vision, then your path expands in ways you may not have imagined possible. This isn't about wishful thinking. It's about mindset. Your dominant thoughts influence the choices you make, the risks you take, and even the opportunities you recognize. Behind the scenes, your mind is constantly setting the stage for the reality you step into, whether you realize it or not. And this is where discipline enters, as the silent force that separates those who dream from those who build. Fortune has never truly favored chance. It has always favored discipline. Discipline is the bridge between thought and transformation, between intention and impact. It is the repeated choice to act even when motivation fades, the steady rhythm of commitment that carves new patterns into your life. Excuses are easy, and they provide temporary comfort, but they silently erode growth. Discipline demands sacrifice, but in return, it offers freedom, the freedom to trust yourself, to see tangible progress, to build a life that reflects not fleeting impulses, but deliberate design. Without it, even the most powerful thoughts remain unfulfilled potential, suspended in the realm of imagination. With it, your thoughts become architecture, shaping something solid and lasting. The revelation is that discipline is not about harsh control or endless restriction. It is about aligning your daily actions with the identity you want to embody. Each time you choose consistency over excuses, you reaffirm who you are becoming. Discipline is proof of belief, shows that you trust the vision in your mind enough to act on it again and again, even when no one is watching. The impact of this alignment is profound. Confidence grows, resilience strengthens, and opportunities begin to multiply because you are prepared to meet them. Discipline is, in essence, the behind-the-scenes force that sustains transformation. It doesn't always look glamorous, but it's what allows greatness to take form. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic because the connection between thought and discipline reveals the true mechanics of growth. Thoughts give direction, discipline provides momentum, and together They create a journey that cannot be replicated by chance alone. When you understand that your life bends toward your strongest thoughts, and that discipline is what anchors those thoughts into reality, you stop living passively and start creating deliberately. This is not about controlling every outcome. It's about designing your path with awareness and commitment, knowing that transformation is never random. It is the result of thoughts sharpened into focus and actions repeated with purpose. Write in the comments, "My discipline shapes my life," if you recognize how the alignment of your thoughts and actions has the power to redefine your entire journey. If you've stayed with me all the way here, I imagine something in these words connected with you. That's exactly why I'd love for you to subscribe, so you don't miss the kind of reflections and insights that can keep fueling your own journey. And since you made it to the very end, drop a comment saying, "I'm with you until the end," so I know you're walking this path alongside me. A simple like on this video is also a great way to let me know this conversation resonated with you. And if you feel like continuing, there's a video right here that complements this topic beautifully. Click it and come with me over there. We'll keep going together.